What's up, everyone? All right, in today's episode, I'm going to break down my day trading watch list for Monday morning and the game plan for the week ahead. Now, July so far has gotten off to a little bit of a slower start than what I was expecting. The Thursday and Friday, or the Wednesday, Thursday, right before the holiday weekend, was cold or slower, but not surprising because we were going into the weekend. But then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week continued to be slow, and that surprised me. But then all of a sudden, Thursday and Friday, we were back at it with multiple stocks going up over 100%. So Thursday and Friday were my biggest green days of the month so far. Now, as I sit today, I'm up around 70,000 on the month of July. In June, I finished up just under 600,000. That's an average of about 150,000 per week. So June was phenomenal. I expected that momentum to continue into July. I didn't see any reason why it wouldn't, although some of it was tied into the SpaceX IPO, which was sort of a one-time event that has now passed. So in any case, I'm going to walk you through the type of stocks I'm going to be looking for on Monday morning. And I'm hoping that we're able to continue the momentum that began finally on Thursday and Friday. So if we jump onto the screen share, you can see my P&L here from just the last 2 days. Thursday here, 24,000. Friday, 18,000. Both days I gave back a little bit off the top. I peaked unrealized up around 30 and then, gave back a little bit right here. And then on Thursday, I peaked at, again, about $28,000, $30,000 before giving back a little bit. The last big green day was on the last day of June, a $70,000 green day, which was awesome. So you can see my P&L right now kind of marked by big green stretches, a little slow, another big jump, a little slow. And, I'm kind of waiting and looking for that next big jump forward, which hopefully we'll be getting soon, but, obviously time will tell. If I look at my metrics for the month of July, this is kind of interesting. So this month here for July, look at my accuracy. It's only 45%, which is embarrassingly low. But when I'm right, I am right. The average winners are $6,600 and the average losers are only $1,300. So my biggest loss is $5,600. My biggest winner is $19,000. So that's like a 4-to-1 profit to loss ratio on the extremes and more of a 6-to-1 profit loss ratio down here, 5-to-1. So this is good, but I need to see if I can boost up my accuracy just a little bit more. Now, on the one hand, I've only taken 31 trades so far this month, 14 winners, 17 losers. So I haven't taken a lot of trades, but this kind of gives you a sense of where I'm at. Now, if we, let's see, I think that's enough. I don't think we have to look at anything else there. So I'm going to move this over here. Our biggest moves on Friday were JZXN and GMM. Now, these two stocks had the highest volume in the entire market at 144 million shares and 135 million shares for the two, respectively. JZXN, Chinese stock squeezing up. GMM, this one's also a Chinese stock squeezing up. So it seems that we still kind of have this theme of Chinese stocks making huge moves. That's something for us to certainly be aware of. It's tricky though, because as we also know, these Chinese stocks can be really bad. They could drop, as much as like 90% in a single day. We've seen it happen before. So at this point, the challenge is having the patience to not try to anticipate which stock is going to make the big move, but instead jump in once a stock is proving it is the leading obvious stock. So on a day like Friday where GMM was the leader, other stocks that were hitting the scans, a lot of them ended up just being sort of like a sympathy pop that didn't hold. So a lot of beginner traders are quick to jump on anything moving, even if it's not really that great of a setup, because they're not as good at distinguishing what makes a stock go up 170% versus go up only 7% and then tank. So what really is the difference is that the stocks that go up the most continue to maintain people's attention. And the reason they do that is because they're one of the top leading percentage gainers in the market. And so this is like page 1 of the Google search, for instance, and it's always the first and second, maybe third results that get the most attention, and then it's rapidly declining from there. No one scrolls all the way down here to be like, oh, look, PHOE is up, 8%. And no one's paying attention to it. It hits the scanner, nobody cares. VIVS, oh, look at this one. Yeah, it pops and reverses because some people that are maybe a little newer jump on it, but it doesn't have the staying power. So make sure what you're looking at is one of the leading gainers, or if it just popped up in the last 2 minutes, has suddenly popped up 50% or maybe 70%. So it's up enough to be having a meaningful chance of becoming one of the leading gainers. That's where it, to me, gets interesting. Now, something that I'll mention is I would encourage you guys, especially those of you who are new to trading, maybe even new to the warrior trading community if you joined during the 4th of July sale, or you're doing the 2-week trial, and there'll be a link pinned to the top of the comment so you could do the 2-week trial for $20. That I want to challenge you to spend the next 2 weeks, spend the next 3 weeks, spend the rest of July trading with 100 shares, max position, and really sticking to that. One entry, one exit. And spend this time focusing on collecting your metrics. You're not trying to make big money right now, for those of you guys who are new. You're trying to prove that you can build the skill set to be a profitable trader. And if you can be a profitable trader, even with just 100 shares, that's something you can scale up. But if you can't make money with even 100 shares, there's no reason to think you'd make money with 1,000 or 2,000. So save all of that extra risk for when you've proven you can be consistent. Now, I think each day when you're sitting down, when you're, in the chat room and you're looking at what other people are saying, it's an opportunity to kind of get a feel for what are other traders looking at today. Oftentimes I'll see a stock pop up on the scanners and then I'll instantly see a bunch of people say, this stock's no good. Has a history of doing rejections. It always pops up and drops. The 200 moving average is in the way. And you can read the sentiment in the room. You could see, all right, people are pretty negative on this stock. Now, they might be wrong. The stock might have a great catalyst, and perhaps that could override that initial negative sentiment. But I like to try to pay attention to what collectively are traders thinking about these stocks. Are they bullish? Are they bearish? Do they like them? Are there issues with them? Because it kind of helps me gauge, where is market sentiment right now? When we have a stock like GMM or JZXN that are the leading gainers, then people just sort of start looking at them and they're like, okay, well, it's obviously up a lot, but it has the 200 moving average in the way. So that's going to become an issue. So then everyone's looking at that level. So it's important to kind of understand, what are people collectively thinking about these stocks? What are they thinking is the logical next stop sign of resistance? 200 EMA, maybe another critical level. Are they thinking this is a stock that has a lot of potential? Because if people all think a certain way, and this is sort of collectively across the whole market, like SpaceX, after the IPO, everyone was like, oh, this thing's going to go to 200. Guess what? It went to 200. They kind of thought it. And so sellers aren't selling till it gets to 200. And I didn't sell till it got to 200, right? Because I just sort of knew this is what everyone's thinking. And so you sort of have to recognize that people believe things into reality at a certain point, where if everyone says it's going to go to that level, then no one sells until it gets to that level. It goes to that level. And this is very true with our technical indicators, the 200 moving average, right? When stocks squeeze up to the 200 moving average, we know, okay, that's going to be a resistance point right up here. Now, GMM, of course, had a lot of room to the 200, so that was an issue or a level in play. But there are a couple other issues on the daily chart. We had 475, which was an issue. We had a couple high volume red days, and these were levels that people were watching. And so it wasn't surprising that we had some resistance at 475 before it was able to break that level. And it would have been surprising if we had resistance up at 1173 before it was able to break that level. So I really want you guys to work on thinking critically about the stocks that you're looking at, trading with small size, and just trying to gauge, what is the sentiment? Is this a stock that people collectively are bullish on? Is this a stock people are bearish on? And if they're bullish, okay, this is a stock that probably is going to have a little bit more momentum, but I still have to manage my risk. So this is a stock there that is a probably good contender to be watching, but where can I manage my risk? Now, on the 1 minute chart, if you recall, GMM had a couple of really nasty false breakouts. Were you paying attention to the position of the MACD? This false breakout right there, MACD was negative. So I didn't take that trade. Right? This false breakout up here, MACD was negative, so I didn't take that trade. So now you're combining these various levels of analysis. You've got your kind of sentiment gauge, momentum meter, like, are people bullish? Are they bearish? Is there a lot of FOMO in the market? Is there a lot of fear and anxiety in the market? Then on the technical level, the position of the 200 moving average, the position of the MACD. And again, not to sound like a broken record, but these are all the things that I cover as I go through the Warrior Pro curriculum, because my goal is to empower you with all of this knowledge that I've accumulated over all of my years of trading, to put it on the table for you, to give it all to you. Now, just because I give you the roadmap doesn't guarantee you'll be profitable. You still have to follow the directions. So if I wrote down right now the directions to get to, First and 54th in Manhattan, and you got to, all the highways you take just to get down there, and I wrote it all down for you, there's probably a 50% chance that most of you guys would get lost along the way. Driving into the city, it's a little complicated. But if you follow those directions, step by step, there's probably a 95% chance you would get there. Well, why not 100? Well, there's external variables. What if there's a road closed, a car accident, things like that. There's still the variables that, are kind of unaccounted for. But what I see for a lot of beginners is that I give you the map and then you immediately take a detour and you get off track. And that's where you're going to have a problem. So I want you to focus on trading with small size if you're a beginner and see if you can get yourself dialed in with making sure you're trading the right stock each day. That's number one. Trading the right patterns and checking your indicators. That's number two. So really just take it slow right now. My game plan for Monday morning, we had FTRX here as the leading gapper after hours, or the leading gainer after hours. So that'll be up 76% going into Monday. And I imagine traders will be watching it. I'm not that interested because I think it's too cheap. It's another foreign listed company from Singapore. So sort of similar to the Chinese stocks, they pop up, but they can be difficult to trade. So I'm not that interested in trading this one. I just don't think it's going to be worth it. The rest of the gappers or the gainers from after hours are, QTBB. This one we've traded before, makes a big pop, as you could see here. We may get continuation on that, but price is a little higher. SOBR, a little on the cheaper side, up 26%. This one's sold off though, and it bounced, so I don't think that's going to be worth watching at all. MIMI, MIMI, that one, the price is okay. If it broke through this level, that could be interesting. So you've got a couple after-hour top gainers. CLRO, this one just bouncing slightly, probably not worth trading. But I would watch these after-hour top gainers for possible continuation into Monday morning. And then when I'm sitting down at about 7 a.m., I'm going to be watching to see what are the leading gainers. GMM was our leading gainer going into Friday morning. And look at what happened at exactly 7 a.m. 7 a.m. when all retail traders come online, or most retail traders, look at this surge of volume. Boom. So this is before Charles Schwab is online, and this is after Charles Schwab is online. Schwab is the biggest broker in the United States. It has an unbelievable number of active traders. They don't allow trading before 7 a.m. 7 a.m., boom. All of a sudden, this huge activity. Now, they're not the only one that doesn't allow trading before 7 a.m., but they're big and they don't. So coming into 7 a.m., all of a sudden, boom, this was game time. So I'm going to be watching at 6:45. What are the leading gainers? What are the 1, 2, 3 most obvious stocks? Do I like them from price, from float standpoint? What's their chart look like? And that's where I'm going to be most likely finding my first trades tomorrow morning. I encourage you guys to do the 2-week trial, to watch over my shoulder, and to practice in the simulator before you ever put real money on the line. So reminder, trading is risky and my results aren't typical. Take it slow, and I'll be streaming tomorrow at 7 a.m. I look forward to seeing you guys in the chat room.